The papermaker, printer, and bookbinder. In the early days, paper was made from linen rags. The rags were washed, cut up, and boiled in fresh water. Once the cloth broke into tiny pieces, the pulp that resulted was beaten into a thick batter. The pulp was strained through a sieve, formed into sheets of paper on a frame, and dried in presses. The papermaker dipped a rectangular sieve into the pulp. The sieve was a piece of wire mesh stretched across a wooden frame. Another frame, called a decal, was placed on top. The sieve and decal were dipped into the pulp, raised up, and shaken gently back and forth. Water drained through the sieve, the decal was removed, and the sieve was handed to the coucher, who dumped the newly formed sheet of paper onto a stack of felt. This step was called couching off. The printer. Much of the paper made by the papermaker was used by the town printer who printed books, advertisements, and newspapers. The skilled printer composed type letter by letter and positioned it line by line on a page-sized tray called a galley. The type in the galley was locked in place inside a frame called a chase. The beater and puller. Two workers completed the printing process. They were called the beater and puller. Using a rocking motion, the beater spread ink across the type with leather ink balls. These balls soaked up the ink from a tray and released it onto the type. The beater spread ink across the typeface with the leather ink balls. The clean page was placed on a wooden frame, which folded down over the inked typeface. The puller then pulled an iron bar to lower the press plate down against the type, thereby pressing or printing the inked letters on the sheet of paper. The bookbinder. To bind a book is to sew and fasten it to a cover. Most books consist of a number of signatures. Each signature is a folded booklet that contains from 4 to 16 pages. The Colonial bookbinder lined up all the signatures that made up one book, one on top of the other, with each of their folds, or spines, facing the same way. The signatures were then placed on a platform with their spines along the strings of a sewing frame. To join all the pages together, threads were sewn through the folds of the signatures and around each string. Trimmed and bound. When completed, the book was released from the frame and the vertical strings were left to be sewn to cover boards. Next, the book was trimmed on a trimming press. After the pages were trimmed, the cover boards were fastened to the outer signatures and tied with the loose strings. A beautiful leather cover completed the binding. A waxed linen thread was used to sew the signatures together. The thread fastened each string of the frame to the signatures.